everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today we've got a Walther PPS M2 chambered in 9mm. This is the latest offering from Walther in the PPS series, and it makes a few changes to kind of bring it in line with the Americanized version of guns. So let's talk about this thing a little bit. We'll start out with, of course, showing that it is unloaded. This is really intended to be a concealed carry gun. The PPS has historically been very pleasant to shoot at the range, but the target market is concealed carry. So given that, it's a fairly small gun. It's 6.3 inches long, it's 4.4 inches tall, and it's about 1 inch thick. It does have some very nice, bright, very clear 3-dot sights. And these are not night sights, these are just conventional sights. They're not fiber optic or anything, but they're very bright, very easy to see and pick up. It has a 3.18 inch barrel, and it weighs about 21 ounces. The magazines come in a couple different varieties. This is the 6-round magazine that comes with it, and when it's installed, it fits nice and flush and kind of molds into the grip. There's also a 7-round magazine that comes with it, that also fits flush and has a continuation of the grip, so it's molded to fit the style of the grip, so you get a full 3-finger grip on it, and it contours in nicely. There is an 8-round magazine that will be available, but currently, as of this filming, I can't find them anywhere. So the 6 and 7-round magazines that come with it are the only ones that I'm able to get a hold of. That's typical when a new gun comes out. That resolves itself fairly quickly. I imagine probably by the time so many people are seeing this, they're readily available. A few of the things about it is it is intended to be a concealed carry gun. It is drop safe. It does have the split trigger, which is part of the drop safety mechanism. And I know those are contentious at times, but when you put your finger on it, it takes up quite quickly and gets out of the way. You really don't notice its existence. And it's sculpted and contoured. It's kind of rounded at the front. The slide, you'll see, is beveled, so it curves up at the top. So it's kind of all melted and meant to be easily carried, easy when it's up against your skin, and easy to holster and unholster, snag free as it comes out of the holster. One of the things that this one has that many don't is it has a striker status indicator, this little thing down here. So when it's cocked, you'll be able to feel it, because the gun is actually cocked at this point. You'll be able to feel it a little bit with your finger. But as you pull the trigger, it starts to protrude. And then as you get fully through the pull cycle, it'll disappear, and it will now be recessed, so you can feel with your finger that it's kind of recessed. It has a couple of purposes. One, just with your thumb you can determine if it's cocked, but also, if you were in the process of holstering this gun, I'll put it along the side, if you were in the process of sliding this into a holster, and you had your thumb on it, you would do it kind of like this, but I won't put my thumb there so you can see. And you start to feel that thing start to protrude, you know that the trigger's being pulled. So that's another one of their safety mechanisms. The grip is very contoured, and if you've seen a Walther PPQ, you'll recognize the pattern and style of the grip. And it does have the finger grips, so that when you get a hold of it, it fits right into your hand and kind of contours into your hand. It has a nice beaver tail, and it keeps you well clear of the slide, so it's very unlikely with this gun to get slide bit. It does not have replaceable back straps like many of the guns do today. This one does not have that feature. It does have a recessed slide release, and there's kind of a bit of frame around it to keep you from snagging it inadvertently, or potentially try to protect you from riding it and prevent causing the gun to lock open. And it does have the American style push button release, which actually works quite well. The magazine's drop free and clear very easily, even to the point that if you have the gun upside down, the magazine will bounce significantly. Not that you're ever going to unload it upside down, but you don't have to pull the magazines out of this. If you were doing a quick reload, you hit the slide release, the magazine's out of there. The magazines themselves are well constructed, solid, nice steel, very rigid and well put together, with witness holes so you can see what your load status is. Takedown on this is similar to many of the other striker guns that you've seen. You verify clear, pull the trigger, grab it from the back and just close your hand. You're just like a Glock. You're not trying to pull it back any amount of distance or line anything up. Just close your hand to take tension off it. Pull down these little tabs, and away you go. So I'll start with showing you the frame, and then we'll go on and show you aspects of the slide itself. The frame is very well constructed, and you'll notice that there are full-length rails all the way. Now the rail on this side is almost full length. It is split because you have some controls on this side, but you've got a significant rail back here. You can see it in front of my finger, and then you've got a continuation of the rail up here. So it's got a very nice, solid, robust rail system. And internally, you look at the locking block and everything else, it's all well constructed and solid. Just like everything else Walther does, it's a very good quality gun. And right here you'll see is the protrusion for the drop safety. And as you're pulling the trigger, this will disengage the drop safety so that you do have a drop safe weapon. Show you the slide. Has a captive recoil screen. Oops, bumped the camera there. Has a captive recoil spring. Very nicely machined, well constructed barrel. And a polished feed ramp. Now it's kind of what you might call machine polished. It's not a mirror finish ultra smooth, but it's definitely quite smooth, and this gun from the first round and every round we fired, it just worked. It hasn't exhibited any ammo sensitivity, it didn't exhibit a break-in period. We took it out, took it home, cleaned it, oiled it, took it to the range, and it just ran. Inside the slide, it's very clean, deburred, well constructed. Up here at the front is the piston for the drop safety. The sear mechanism is there at the back. And you can see, it's kind of a little bit hard to see, but the rails along the side. And everything in here is smooth and well laid out. Typical high quality construction from Walther. Reassembly is relatively easy. Drop the barrel in place. Drop the recoil spring in place. Now there's a little shelf. I'll show you this real quick. There's a little shelf right here that the recoil spring sits into. And unlike some guns, when it's disassembled, there's not a lot of tension on it. So it just you'll just kind of gently feel it lock into place, and if you hit the spring with your hands or something like that, it'll fall back out. That's not a defect, and it's not going to cause any malfunctions when it's operating, because when it's actually fully assembled, it will, put the spring in, line it up a little bit here, and you'll kind of hear a little click as it dropped into place. But it's under more tension when it's actually fully assembled. It pulls back a little bit. It does not fall apart while you're operating it. Now, there is a quirk about this gun, and I mention it in the box, and I've never seen this on any other striker-fired gun. But if you don't pull the trigger forward, you won't be able to reassemble the gun, because the protrusion for the firing pin block, the drop safety, will block the slide. So you actually have to take your thumb, I just got my thumb behind the trigger, and pull the trigger forward. It's not a big deal once you know about it, but it kind of doesn't make sense that they designed it that way. Every other striker gun out there is able to be reassembled without having to mess with the trigger. Beyond that, you simply line the slide up with the guides, pull back, and you're ready to go. The trigger on this is actually quite nice. It's not a PPQ trigger, but it is a very, very nice trigger. So let me show you how the trigger operates. Of course, we have a clear gun. There's a little more take up, but it's not excessive. And get my finger out of the way there. A little bit of take up. And then a very clean, crisp break with a little bit of creep. But again, not excessive. Medium reset. It's not a super short reset like a PPQ or a tuned Glock, but it's well within tolerance to get nice, clean follow-up shots. And as a carry gun, it's not going to be so short that it kind of prompts you to do unintended second, follow-up shots. And I'll let it all the way back out. And this would be the trigger if I go all the way out and then pick it back up again, take up, and then break. Overall, it's an excellent trigger, and it's easy to get consistent follow-up shots with it. One other thing I'll note is that they don't have a Picatinny Rail, which Picatinny Rail is becoming common even if it's just a single notch. This one does not have that. It's kind of contoured, presumably to make it easier to holster, but the loss of that rail means you'll have to wait for the aftermarket to catch up with, trigger guard mounted lasers and things like that. You can't mount just a conventional, like a Railmaster, Princeton Trace Railmaster on this gun. We did find that it was a little bit difficult to get our hands to fit this grip. So we've had a little bit of difficulty getting the tight groups that we've become accustomed to with some other guns. That's not necessarily that the gun is bad, it's just that without any adjustability, no replaceable backstrap or anything, it does kind of force you to adapt your hand to the gun and kind of train through that. So I do believe this gun is capable of nice tight groups, but you may need to spend some time with it trying to work out exactly how you're going to hold it and everything else. The only defect I would say in this gun is that the rear sight was slightly off when we got the gun. And we did have to adjust it, and I did double verify that we were actually sighting correctly, put it in a rest and made sure that the sight was off. I had to drift it a little bit to the left, but while mentioning the fact that I had to drift it, you'll see that they are dovetailed, so that the rear sight is dovetailed and can be pressed out and replaced, and the front sight is pinned, and there's a little screw underneath it inside the slide that you can unscrew and pull the sight off, so you could replace it. So for example, if you wanted to put night sights on it or fiber optic or something like that, you won't need a gunsmith or need to machine the slide. The sight issue could have even been mishandling in transit. It was handled at the gun store. Somebody may have bumped it against the counter and kind of knocked the sight out. Once I adjusted the sight, it's held and it stayed good. So overall, I do think this is a very high quality offering from Walther. And if you're looking for a 9mm concealed carry gun that's easy to carry, easy to live with, whether it's pocket or inside the waistband, this would actually be a good gun. And we do also have the original Classic. So look for our upcoming comparison video where we actually do a feature-by-feature comparison between the M2 and the Classic. You can see, right now you can find the Classics significantly reduced in price, and you might be trying to decide, I want to go one way or the other. We can give you some information to help with that. So if you'd want to hang on for some additional range footage, you'll see us shooting this. And if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, and have a great day. Thank you.